in the set, but
it had the owner's manual and everything.
Owner's
right?
manual.
All the paper.
Owner's manual with battery exhausted.
Listen to this. This is the tape I found downstairs.
Monster kids are the product of the movies they weren't supposed to watch as kids. They're not horrified or offended by the dismemberment of a female ingenue. Monster kids pull the wings off flies and giggle low in the corner. Monster kids like to drink and talk shit. Monster kids will be the bright, new future of a dying world.
Hello, everyone. This is the first episode of the Lazer Wagon podcast, the podcast that nobody asked for. What we hope to accomplish here is to talk all things horror, current to classic. So a little bit of something for everyone.
So thank you all for joining us on this first episode. It's going to be a fun listen.
I'm Chris Martin.
And I'm Sam Franks.
Hop in the wagon, loser.
So when Chris and I were trying to decide what kind of topics or things to talk about or questions to ask on this podcast, we thought it might be a good idea to start from the very beginning. So, Chris, what is your earliest memory or, your earliest memory of horror? You know, what was the thing that got you started years ago?
Yeah, so my first memory, if you know me at all, it's probably going to seem a little bit contrived, but it's going to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So my sister, 5 years older than me, brothers and sisters naturally like to harass each other and torment each other. So once she realized that I was scared of anything she was watching scary, she's going to make me watch it. So, I was maybe 7. I was way too young to be watching it. There was a couple of other movies I was way too young to be watching that she showed me, like The Exorcist, and that's for another episode. But anyway, I was sticking with Chainsaw up until the part where Leather Face shows up and grabs Kirk, and I ran into the kitchen. We kind of had like a U shape, like a horseshoe shape around from the living room into the kitchen, and I could hear all the sounds, and I was screaming, asking her, please turn it off, turn it off. It was on an old VHS. And she was laughing, and she'd tell me, come in, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So I trusted her, should not have, came back in, and I'm quiet, and then I see Pam walking in, and I knew what was going to happen. And of course, you know, he comes out again, and I went straight back into the kitchen, and that's I'm sure there was a lot more screaming and and other things that happened, and I'm sure I slept with my mom for a week and was scared to be by myself, but I remember vividly Kirk taking one to the head, and it scared me, but at the same time there was something when I was in the kitchen. I was screaming and saying I didn't want to see what was going on, but I kept listening, and something, and I know part of that has to do with Tobe Hooper. I think if that would have just been any scary movie from the 70s, I don't think it would have affected me like that, but I feel like that planted the seed, and as we go into further episodes, I hope to tell more stories along the way. We're keeping this first one short. We want to retain your viewership, so but I would say to make a short story long, as I often do, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine at that age how kind of traumatic that was.
Not good.
Those opener scenes, I remember them scaring the hell out of me when I was a kid too. But
yes,
actually, my first, when anybody asks me, I always say I was a fan of horror when I should not have been a fan of horror. I was way too young. My first memory of a horror movie, I told you this a few times, the Anthony Hopkins Magic. That movie, wow. I didn't see it at that time, but I was young enough to where that was back when they actually had radio spots for movies, and so there would be a radio in my room at night, and I'm trying to go to sleep, and I hear that trailer come on for Magic, and it was just like, it was over. So that haunted me for years and years. So I mean, that's really my first remembrance of it, and I wouldn't say I loved it at that point, but it definitely made me pay attention, and I realized that, oh, that's a horror, you know, that genre of movies out there.
Yeah. I feel like that planted the seeds for both of us, and I do hope to in a later episode that we'll talk about like we'll build upon those and to where we realize we're not scared of this anymore. We're more into, and you know, our parents were probably scared to death, but as we can look back now, it was the creativity in these movies. Someone was getting paid to scare people, and it was fake. And it, you know, that's what they told us when we were little. It's not real. It's not real. Well, it looks real. In the 70s, practical effects looked very...
They said it was real.
Yeah, they said this is based on a true story. And back then, you believed that up until the internet. So
somebody on TV said it was true.
Yeah, and same with like magic. Like we were talking about magic the other day, and we hope to go into more detail about magic specifically. But I just pulled up an image because it was haunting me a little bit. And there's something about that dummy, like the head is a little too big, and that's creepy. But yeah, that's...
I don't know if you remember, but when... the actual trailer that you would see on TV, when I talk about commercials on TV, you know,
nobody gets it.
We're dating ourselves right now.
3 channels.
Yeah, 3 channels. But it was like a slow, like push. It was just that dummy's head on a black background. It was just a slow push, you know, in towards it. And I don't remember the dialogue, but it was, man, when I saw that, I was running for the hills.
Hocus pocus, we take her to bed. Magic is fun. We're dead.
Josephine Levine presents Magic, a terrifying love story starring Anthony Hopkins, Anne Margaret, and Burgess Meredith. Rated R.
And you can't get away from it. It's like it just keeps getting closer, and you can only go back into the couch so much.
And I was kind of like you. I was like, you know, this is scaring the hell out of me, but I kind of want to look at it.
Yeah, I want to see how it ends. I want to see if I'm brave enough to make it through.
Right.
So those are both two good ones. Yeah, so one of the other topics we thought would be interesting and intriguing to some of the viewers and listeners might be like sort of a collectible tour or memorabilia tour, or what's the coolest thing you've ever gotten signed or want to get signed, or maybe it's not signed, maybe it's rare, maybe it's just something that holds a special place in your horror heart. So like Sam and I were talking about, like I got a lot of junk, as I'm sure I use the word junk lovingly. We've got a lot of stuff that's special to us, because what this sort of does to me is like a lot of people don't get horror conventions and celebrity autographs and stuff like that. Keeps me young. It takes me right back to that 8-year-old that is not supposed to be watching this, or the 10-year-old that is allowed to go pick out 2 or 3 movies at the video store. Again, we're dating ourselves. But it was magical to go, and we both have said this, that we immediately went to the horror aisle, skip the comedy, skip the action, garbage. Like, take me to the horror aisle, because every one of those box cover arts was mesmerizing, haunting, scary, and it had you wanting for more. Yeah. So
the darker the better.
The darker the better. That's another one of our, that should be our actual tagline. But so we want to hope that's something we will never run out of talking about, is all the cool shit that like we come across or that we see or that we like. So for today's episode, I just wanted to talk about this right here, because this is very special to me. But yeah, this is my Polaroid 230 land camera. So when Sam and I knew that we were going to meet Ed Neal at Frightmare, we both started looking for these online. And Sam, being a photographer for 25 plus years, has an extensive collection of vintage cameras anyway. So he had a couple of these Polaroid land cameras. It wasn't a 230, but he had a very close version. And we talked about, hey, let's get him to sign one of those. But then you don't want to be the guy that goes up and he's like, that's not even the one. Like, camera, I'm not signing this.
It looks kind of like
it's to the untrained eye. You could get away with it, but
would have made fun of us.
You don't want Ed Neal laughing you out of the convention, because he will call you out on it. So you know, we started. Sam just said, you know, I don't feel right taking these. Let's keep looking on eBay, you know, see what you come up with or whatever. So I looked on eBay, kept looking, and Ed will sell you one of these signed, and I don't know the exact price. You can't quote me. It's a good deal. It's probably $150 if you take into account his autograph and going through, and you get about what you see here. I think you get a bulb, and there's a lot of extra parts that come to this. So I was lucky enough. I was on eBay and I saw a posting for a 230 Polaroid land camera for $15. It was a no-brainer. Like, I'm buying it. Like, it's already in my cart, but I'm like, let's read the description. There's got to be a whole lot wrong with it. All I cared about is that there's somewhere for him to sign it, because that's all it's going to do is sit here and collect dust. But $15, you know, buying it, but I'm reading through the description, and it's like, it comes with a case. comes with the original case that the camera came in. It comes with extra bulbs. It comes with stuff that no one kept up with, and it was, I would call it complete.
So it even came with the owner's manual, huh?
Yeah, so it had the owner's manual. It had all these extra bulbs and flash, and we'll drop in some footage of. I'll kind of spread it out on the table so you can see. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it came with more than $15 worth of accessories. I'd love to know if it works. If you could still get film for this. There's a little tab. I'm not pulling this, but I mean, I've opened it up. The owner's manual alone has this great old photography and even like the wording and stuff. It screams vintage. So short version, it cost more to ship this to me than it did to buy it. So it was a $15 purchase and all that entails, and $25 to ship. So I leave that part off because it doesn't make it as sexy as saying I got it for $15, but full disclosure, it was closer to $50. Anyway,
Still a bargain.
Still a bargain. So I get to tote this around Frightmare. Brought it to Ed Neal, and he loves to see him. He sees them all the time. But when I told him that I got the case and all this stuff for $15, he said, "Are you crazy?" He said, "People will give $100 just for this." And I said, "I know." I said, "Somebody on eBay didn't know what they had or didn't care what they had."
Right.
So this is definitely a holy grail. It may not be the only holy grail, but it's up there for me. This is very close to one of my favorite things in my collection. So
one of the things about this too, I mean, even if it'd been $150, you still would have bought it, but knowing what all it had in it, so I mean,
exactly. Yeah, I would have. And thank God it was a buy it now.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I have to snipe somebody or I'm in a bidding war, because that would have easily gone. People.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time you tried to buy a green pull and housing from a chainsaw just to have that in an actual real one? I look at them all the time, and they're $200 or $300 on eBay every time you find one.
Go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because I have a little piece of, this is obviously the Trick or Treat replica, which we love, but one reason we have this is because we can't hunt down those OGs, and the few that were out there, a lot of the guys from Gun, they bought those up and 3D printed them, and that's what they were using for the game, which is cool. I appreciate the detail, but I've had like this handle piece, or just like you said, part of the housing, and it's like $120, and forget the blade or anything else.
The last one I saw was just the plastic housing. There was the handle wasn't there. It was just the green part.
Yeah,
and that was all it was. And I want to say it was like $200 because they figured it out. If you remember when we were standing in line, and Ed has those the straight razors he'll sign too.
Yes,
and he's pretty particular about that. I don't know if you heard him telling the story, but he has those for sale sometimes, I think. And he was telling somebody that you have to be real careful because somebody will put on like eBay or whatever that it's a chainsaw, like the one in Chainsaw, and he was giving the person lessons on what to look for to know the exact one that he has.
That's
in the
so
movie,
cool. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Most of us horror enthusiasts, you want the right one. Like we had the conversation on the camera, and we're like, no, it's got to be the one. So I'm sure everybody can appreciate the level of detail that we will go through to make sure we've got what was in the movie or close to it.
I'm definitely jealous of that one. I mean, I still look, and I haven't seen one that complete and that clean yet. I mean, even the stickers on the top of it are still bright white.
Right.
Like it was like locked up and airtight for the last,
whoever had it
years,
took really good care of it. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that was informative or interesting, at least a little bit. So
there's a lot more people out there that are really jealous of you now.
If you hate me, please don't unsubscribe because of this camera. We can work a deal.
So we'll use the camera as a segue into what's going on with us on October 18th in Austin, Texas at the Bob Bullock Museum. It's the 50th anniversary of Texas Chainsaw. So we're actually going to get to see a screening on a big screen, which I've always just seen it on TV. So it's going to be cool to see it, on the big screen for sure.
Yeah, I've never seen this in full format in a movie theater, so super excited to do that. And there's some special guests, right?
Yeah,
that'll be there.
I understand Pam is going to be there, Terry McMinn. Yeah, and Mr. Hinkle himself. So I think they're going to give like some talks afterwards, after the screening. and we did find out today that it's sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out, so don't go try to buy tickets. Sorry, now you hate us twice.
Right. So, like, I think you said this. This is our MoMA, since we didn't get to go.
This is our MoMA. Yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was featured at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and they don't just let any movie in there or throw this big of a deal for it just because it's not just because it's 50 years old. It's because how groundbreaking it was,
Right.
and we don't have to tell you about that. But yeah, this is pretty exciting for us, and yes, we will be capturing whatever type of footage we can. I'm sure. Obviously, no cameras while the movie's rolling. Everybody's seen the movie, so that's not an issue. But we want to try to take you with us a little bit and see. There's like Sam said, the Q&A afterwards. So we'd like to get a little bit of that, maybe some beforehand to just talk to people or just capture some footage and let y'all see what the experience was like.
Yeah, because with it being sold out, you know, and I mean, I don't know how big that theater is. You know,
I'm not sure. I've never been there.
I wouldn't think it's more than 500 seats, if even that much. But,
Right.
You know, what I was really surprised by is the cost of the tickets.
Yeah. So when Sam said, well, we already got tickets, and I said, well, I need to get some tickets. And immediately I kind of clutched my wallet, you know, because this is a big deal. This is Austin, Texas, showing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, it's cool it was up in New York, but it was filmed here. So this is a little bit closer to where Toby was going to school and where where Pam lived, and you know,
and the original
Gunner
print of the movie lives in Austin.
Yes, and so we're so excited to be able to see this movie for the first time for us on the big screen. There are some other cool things going on throughout the year. I think it's maybe not too late if you get online and you can go watch the movie at Hooper's at the end of the month. I think the last Saturday of October. So I don't know the details, but check out Hooper's and see if you can see there'll be cast members there as well, and that would be a good time.
Well, I'm excited about that, man. You know, we've had several conversations with Terry McMinn over the last couple of years, and you know, seeing her at different cons and stuff like that. She's a real sweetheart. I don't know if they'll have an opportunity for us to go in and actually talk to her. I bet they don't, but it'd be kind of cool.
It would be great just to see her again and say hi and get a side hug.
She's just like the sweetest person.
She's so nice.
Like her and Felissa Rose. Like they're the sweetest, like the queens, man. They
Yes.
You know, they're always got a smile for you.
Yes. And to tease ahead, I will one time in a future episode when we're talking about cool signatures and whatnot, I got her to sign my horoscope delineator, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But on the signatures and stuff, we would like to hear from y'all if possible. We want to hear what's your coolest thing. Like, you can email us at lazerwagonofficial@gmail.com. And send us a picture or send us a DM on Instagram, Lazer Wagon Official. Send us a comment on YouTube. Like, get the dialogue going, because I want to hear what y'all's coolest stuff is, or what, and not just Chainsaw, whatever your favorite horror movie from your favorite director, your first memory, like any of that stuff. We want like an open dialogue, because we've heard each other's stories, but we want to share them with you. But we also like to hear stories, so we're hoping it's sort of a back and forth. Okay, so. What do you guys think? Is this something that you're interested in? Hopefully so. We want it to be fun, light, positive, and just talk about horror, old and new. So we do have lots of stories come from conventions, as I know you do as well. So, and if there's certain topics you want us to talk about or that you're interested in, or certain topics you don't want us to talk about, let us know that as well too. So, but yeah, we appreciate all the follows on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook, and we try to keep up with the socials as much as we can. So anyway, we really appreciate the following, and hope you'll tune into this and listen to us talk about horror. Sam, what do you think?
Again, like Chris said, I really appreciate you, taking the time to listen to us. We know you've got plenty of things to do. We're going to try to keep this super positive all the way through. Like we always say, you can go find something negative anywhere else. So we're going to try to keep it real positive and light and fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to waste your time on stuff we hate, but we will waste your time on stuff we love.
For sure.
All right. So this is episode 1. Hope you enjoyed it, and give us some feedback in the comments, and we will do better next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks.
Monster kids make pretty pictures of ugly things and write pretty words about awful sing-song discordant notes and vomit when they drink too much.